Hello, Jess.
Hello.
I won't tell everybody out there that we've just been having, well, I've been having major technical problems.
Yeah, a bit of a nightmare has been in it, but we're here now. We're all
I hope we are. I hope it's recording us, okay? Oh my God. So how are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Busy with work. I got a day off today.
Oh,
Seems
lovely.
back now, so yeah, picking up a little bit as well.
I was trying to remember, because not that one cohort goes into another. Obviously, I know you were with the BBC and you were with the sports department.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember when you actually finished with us, because I think you started in January, didn't you?
Yeah, it was January 22 that I started, and
Right.
then I finished with the BBC last July. So the apprenticeship obviously finished with them, but it was 6 months before that with you guys, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right, because BBC get 18 months now, so
Yeah.
12
So
months.
whenever that would have been.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, up until July I was with BBC then.
Yeah, because I think it's nice that you have that extra 6 months after having to do the qualification with us, you know?
I think it's made a massive difference because I applied for the apprenticeship about 3 years in a row, and there was 1 year that I didn't get it, and that was back when it was a 12-month apprenticeship, and COVID hit that year. And I was so grateful in a selfish way that I didn't get it, because 12 months, it just flies by. And the amount of difference it made, like having those extra couple of months just to kind of like try things you didn't get a chance to do or just have more experience. It goes so fast. And I was quite lucky as well because I was in the office. Like that cohort, I don't think they were able to go into the office. They had a shorter period of time and working from home. So I had a lot more from it, luckily enough.
Do you know what they did? Because I've done a couple of podcasts with previous apprentices that were with us during COVID, and really they started in the September, and then from the following March, from the lockdown, they were at home.
That's it. And it was completely new, wasn't it? Like nobody really knew how to deal with it. You didn't know when you were going back into the office if you'd be able to. Like what work they could have done at home, I don't really know, because I've learned so much from being in there, shadowing people, like people talking through things, going out on OBs.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they would have got from it at home.
You're right. It was funny because I had an apprentice that was with radio, and it was amazing because she could show me what she was cutting. To be honest, we wouldn't have been anywhere without Zoom.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that made a difference, even in terms of interviews being played out on radio as well. Like Zoom quality was good enough for that. It made everything a lot more acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never been on a video recording all my life until we had lockdown, you know, and it was opening up territories to a lot of people, not just youth. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And to be honest, a long time after COVID, we were still using that anyway for like Radio Real Sport on a Friday. Like even now for things, if you can't arrange to like meet someone in person and stuff, and like for people obviously wherever they are across the world, Zoom and Teams and stuff works perfect for that now. And because it's acceptable, like nobody thinks twice about hearing something that's maybe a little bit lower quality than you would have been used to before.
Yeah, definitely. So take me back. You mentioned that you tried for the apprenticeship before.
Yeah.
So you were in school. Did you do GCSEs and A levels?
So I was in school, and then I done my GCSEs. After my GCSEs, I went to college.
Right.
And I took, I think it was chemistry, PE, and biology, and I struggled the first year. It wasn't what I wanted to do, to be honest. It was just that finish school, go to college. So I finished that, and then I started working, and then I went back to college. I thought I'll give it another go, and it still didn't work out. So I knew by the end of that it wasn't for me. And I started applying for the apprenticeships then. So I found out about them because I always loved radio, and I knew I wanted to go into radio.
Yeah.
I had never done anything like that, so I didn't really know which way to go about it. And I knew that I didn't want to go to uni either. So I saw online something was being advertised down in Swansea. So Radio 1's big weekend was coming to Swansea, and as part of that, in the Grand Theatre, they were holding workshops and stuff.
Okay.
So I thought, I'll go down to that, and they were doing different things. So they had how to make a radio program. They had a workshop with like Newsbeat and stuff. They had, but the actual DJs there, so like Nick Grimshaw was there, Scott Mills was there, Greg James.
Brilliant.
I don't think that many people knew about it, which again worked in my favour because
the
workshop, there'd be like 6 of us there, and I'd be having like a conversation with Greg James, and it was so useful, like everything that came from that, because it was like a one-to-one basically. You could just ask however many questions you wanted and find out what you wanted to do. So they had a careers stand there, and I went to them and I asked them, and they said that they do apprenticeships,
Right.
and give me the information basically to apply. So I went on and I applied. I didn't get it that year. The year after, it was COVID. So I applied so far, and then they just scrapped the applications. And then on the third time, then I applied for it and I got it. Then I applied initially for Radio Wales, but they found out that I think I play football and stuff, and I got off at the sport department then, which I'm grateful for now, to be honest.
Yeah. How long was that process? Was it as long as it is now? Because you sort of apply January, February, and then you've got to wait until starting in the September. So it's a good
it seemed like it took forever, to be honest, because it's like radio silence as well. You don't hear anything in between. So you can say, oh, have they got my application? Like, have they forgot about it? Or maybe have I missed an email? So I applied for it really early on. It probably was maybe like January, February time. Then I'd have an email a couple of months later being like, you've got a video interview, and then sent that off. And then it was a case of waiting then to find out if I had something. And the video interview was probably like around April, May time. And then I didn't find out until the September if I got it.
Wow.
And then started in January then.
So realistically, while you're waiting to find out, you need to be either working or still studying or something, don't you? You know?
Yeah, I took a job. So I took... I left the pharmacy I was working in, and I started in an estate agent because I wanted something different anyway. And I thought, well, I don't know what's going to come of this, so I can't bank on it yet. So my first week in the estate agents, they were giving me like all my training, like my induction stuff. And that was on the Monday. On the Wednesday, I had a phone call saying I've got the apprenticeship. I was like, oh, no. I was landed, but I was like, I just had to go along with it, basically. I didn't tell anyone that I had it.
Oh, no.
Because I had to keep that job for 3 months.
Oh, God, okay.
Because obviously it was in the January. So around Christmas time then, I was like, guys, I'm going. I've got the apprenticeship. So thanks for everything. But
did you do any viewings of show people around houses or anything like that?
I wasn't there long enough to do the viewings. But I shadowed a couple. So I went to some houses. Which was fun. It was something different. But I think I could tell I didn't want to do that anyway. So I was landed when I got the phone call.
Yeah, do you know what? And it was still a job that you were dealing with people probably coming into the shop and stuff like that. Am I right? Or...
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that's made a massive difference with the apprenticeship as well, is that I was working from about 15. That was part-time. And then 17, I went full-time. And I was 22. I'm going on 23 when I had the apprenticeship.
Right.
And I just think dealing with people, like knowing how to speak to people, just having that interaction made a massive difference, because I came out of my shell a lot. Like I was really shy in school. I was quiet.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have had as much out of the apprenticeship had I still been like that. But just having the confidence to go up to people and ask things, ask questions, just having that bit of confidence made a massive difference.
Yeah, it's like that life. It's you sort of need that life experience, really. I think it helps before you get into the media.
I think so, because even if you're just kind of ringing guests, like even the basic roles, so like being a researcher and ringing guests and getting briefs and just chatting to them, being able to make or form a relationship with them and make people feel comfortable goes a really long way in terms of like how much you get from that then as well.
Yeah.
Running and stuff as well, just like kind of greeting people, just making small talk, just that kind of thing, so things aren't awkward. It goes a long way.
Definitely. And you just don't really think about it until you're actually in the job, and you're thinking, sometimes you've got to put a new face on as well, haven't you? Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I would never say I'm as confident as I say now I do things on air. If I had been told that I'd be doing that however many years ago, I'd be like, absolutely no chance. Like public speaking or like talking to people, it was like my worst nightmare. I'd avoid it at all costs. But now, like, my friends I was comfortable with, but nothing where the focus was on me.
No.
That kind of like completely changed. And I think you realise that as well. Like if you want to get anywhere, especially probably within this line of work, like you've got to kind of put a bit of a front on and be more confident with things, because otherwise people will get ahead of you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. So you got offered the apprenticeship, you said yes, and then you started in that January.
Yeah.
So I know you don't live in Cardiff. So did you contemplate moving down, or did you think, no, I can travel, I can do this?
I would have liked to, but it's not, Cardiff isn't too far. I live in Neath, so
Yeah.
I was catching the train. It made my day a little bit longer, but for the amount that I saved on the apprenticeship as well, I'm glad I decided to stay, to be honest, because Nathan, who I was on the apprenticeship with, he had to move down from Scotland because he lived up there and then had the apprenticeship in Wales, so he had to make that move.
Yeah.
For me, with the prices that things were in Cardiff, I just thought if I don't need to, then I won't bother.
No.
Yeah, the commute was fine, to be honest, because obviously like I can drive, so for late shifts that was fine. I was parking up there, and I'd catch the train then on day shifts or early shifts, so it's fine. It just adds like probably an extra 40 minutes to an hour on each way then.
Do you know what, Jess, if you don't mind me saying, I live in Cardiff, right? And sometimes my commute from the office from Skill Cymru to home is 40 minutes in the car.
Exactly, that's it. So I thought for the amount I'd be paying, my parents are still happy to have me at home, so I think that made a big difference as well.
Thank you, parents.
But for me and stuff, I'd be silly to go up to Cardiff.
But would you say that, I always ask this, because I don't think people realise sometimes what a valuable asset it is to be able to drive. Would you say that helps you be able to do your night shifts and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, definitely, because like public transport over here, I think the timings aren't as regular as they are other places. So even if your train's cancelled, even little things like that, just in terms of, or if you kind of like arrange to do something yourself, like if you wanted to work on a story or something and you wanted to set up an interview, just getting there to meet the people for like a coffee or to chat to them and stuff, like it makes a massive difference. You just kind of, it's easier for you, it's easier for work. They don't have to arrange transport, you can sort yourself out. I think driving made a massive difference.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, when we get crew apprentices in as well, you know, the need to be able to drive is quite vital, because if they're out on drama shoots, starting early, finishing late in middle of the woods and stuff, you know, you just cannot, you know, you can't be relying on people for lifts, can you?
Well, even to get to Skill Cymru, like that's not in the centre of Cardiff.
No.
So you can get a train to Cardiff Central, but then after that, it's kind of like, it's too long a walk, and you can get a taxi, but for some reason, taxis don't like it, don't they? I'm not sure why.
Well, because I've never caught a taxi there, but that's interesting to know. Oh my God.
There was one time towards the end of the apprenticeship, and we were outside Skill, and we thought, it was like one of the last weeks we were training, and we were like, we'll go into town now, have like a little social, and I think we waited about 40 minutes for a taxi to show up.
Oh my God.
You guys were leaving and we were still there waiting.
You're kidding. Oh my
And you
God.
let us go early.
What, we were waving you off for you? Bye.
Yeah, basically, you're ringing the taxi company, and like someone's on their way. It's like, oh my gosh. So
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
that was a bit of a nightmare. So being I've been able to drive definitely helps.
Oh my God. So you get into the apprenticeship, you get to the BBC, you're sort of introduced to us then, aren't you? Because I don't think people understand. They know they have to do a qualification, but they might think they're doing the qualification in the BBC as well, you know?
Yeah, and I think like you're so excited when you join as well, and you go into the BBC first, I think.
Yes.
And you see everything, and you see what they're doing and everything that's going on, and then you realise that you actually have to sit down and do classroom work. I think like that kind of hits then. But to be fair, it was all fine. Like it was, I think we all coped with it really well. It was,
yes.
It doesn't feel like it would in school or college.
No, I agree with you. It's you know, the qualification is like continuation of what you're learning on the job.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a nice chance as well to meet up with everyone who's working in the different companies as well.
Definitely.
So whether that be from the guys doing the drama stuff or from ITV, like you just chat with people, you catch up, see what they've been doing. It's like a good networking thing as well, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So you get to the sports department. So you wanted Radio Wales. You've been put into radio sport department, yeah?
Yeah, so I was with the sport department. I started with TV. I was with them for about 6 months because me and Nath joined at the same time. He was on radio, I was on TV, and then the plan was to swap then.
Right.
So the first 6 months I done with TV.
How did you find the sport? I'm going to be honest with you now. How did you? I'm thinking, is it quite male dominated, the sports department of the BBC, or am I totally wrong?
I think it is. Like, there's more men than women in the department, but it doesn't feel like that when you go in. Like, everyone's so friendly and everyone makes you feel really welcome. Like, if you're enthusiastic to kind of like learn and go along with things, like they're more than happy to show you. So
Yeah.
when I went, and I think this made a massive difference for me as well, is you go in and they assigned you a mentor, and I had Anne who works on TV, and we still meet now, like every week, basically, for coffee and a catch up. So that was really nice, like just in terms of having someone to talk to, because I think the things that you talk about and the worries that you have, boys and girls are different.
Yeah.
Like maybe like I would overthink more than Nathan would, for example. Not assuming, but sometimes that is just the way. And it was nice having someone like Anne then to chat to, and anything I was concerned about, anything I wanted to talk about, she was there then and she could offer advice. And I think that just went a long way. It did make a massive difference.
Yeah. And the sort of jobs you were given first off, I suppose you were learning new skills from day one, I suppose, were you?
Yeah, and I spoke to you guys about this at the start when I first joined, because me and Nate didn't know what to expect from it. And we went in, and I thought there would probably be like, oh, on this day you're doing this, on that day you're doing this, or a week by week thing. But you go in, and part of me thought, do they know that I meant to be here? Like, because no, people looked at me and I was like going up and introducing myself, which sometimes isn't the most comfortable thing to do.
No.
But yeah, there was no structure as such. It was more like you come in and you just kind of, you're left your own devices in a way, just to go up to people and ask, find out who wants help. If you can help with anything, can you shadow anything? You're very limited at the start. And that's what people would say. Like, by the time I sit down and show you to do this, it's quicker for me to do it myself a sec.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
It's totally understandable, because like there's time constraints and things as well, and people are busy. And I had this conversation with Anne, and I just said, like, I'm not sure. I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure like how to do that. And luckily enough, Anne sat me down, because she was a media manager, and she sat me down and she just kind of said, I can show you what I do. If you want to get on with bits like that. She said, I'm just not sure if anyone's got a plan for you. I said, as far as I know, no. So until anything changes, like if you could show me how to do things, that would be great. So I started off doing media management stuff, which is kind of, say now there's a rugby game or a football game on the weekend, that comes into the building on the system, and I would go through that and I would clip up goals, tries, conversions, red cards, just notable events, so that they have all of that then organised on the system. And then say now they're doing an edit, so the montages and stuff you see before sports games of like tackles and really good goals, different camera angles, say now they were doing an edit to put something together, I could also source that material for them and send it to them.
Ah, right. Okay.
So it was a lot of that kind of thing. Probably throughout the time I was with TV, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was really handy, because everything I've learned I still use now. Like, a lot of people on the radio side can't do that because they don't know how to use the systems, they don't know how to get the material, whereas I can go on and I can just do it myself.
Fantastic. What was your knowledge of sport like before you went there?
I supported Swansea anyway, so I go to Swans games. I love football, I play football.
Right.
In terms of the other Welsh clubs, not so great. But to be honest, you could think that you know a lot, and then you go into that department and you realise that you know nothing.
Right.
People are like walking encyclopedias, they know everything. And that was like intimidating at the start, because I just thought, oh my God, I'm clueless. And like I know what I like and I can have a conversation and stuff, but
yeah,
to the depth that they would go, or to the detail that they go, I wouldn't have a clue. And I remember speaking to Catherine Helen before, who presents like School 5 and stuff. And I said, I don't understand how people know so much. Like, I feel like I know nothing. And she said, but you don't need to know everything. She's like, Google's there. Like, if you need to search something or find out something, just Google it.
Yeah.
So I think that took a lot of pressure. Even just something as simple as that took a lot of pressure off, because you can't pretend to be an expert if you don't know.
No, and do you know what? I mean, that takes years of sort of working on stuff to gain all that knowledge as well, you know?
Well, I can't believe like how much I know now compared to what I did. Like
I bet.
even my parents say, like I talk about stuff sometimes and they don't know what I'm on about. They're like, oh, like blinking heck, you've picked up so much, like just being there. But you do because you're reading up on things, you're like if you're putting a package together, if you're arranging like an interview and you're doing like research into that, you just end up knowing it.
Yeah.
Constantly around like the latest news and stuff. So you do just pick it up.
So you had 6 months on telly. I remember you telling me a story about you had to sort out an audience for Scum 5.
Yeah, that was stressful.
Oh, do you know, I've done that myself in my job as a researcher. And honestly, you're right. Getting an audience to a venue to do an as live program or live is the worst job ever.
I think so because like you're not in control of it in
No.
terms of you on the day, you can't make someone turn up basically.
I know.
So I was told like this is only going to work if we have the seats filled basically. But
Yes.
then I'm going to promise too many people in case everyone does turn up. So you're kind of like stuck in this thing where you're just like, I don't know what to do for the best, but it worked out in the end. We had to put I put stuff out on social media, people got in contact. I was phoning people as well to see if the ones who had been on Zoom audiences, if they would like to come into the building, because they hadn't had that opportunity. So it all worked fine in the end, but it was still COVID at the time.
Oh God.
I was literally having people ringing up like days before being like, we really want to come, but we've come down with COVID, so we can't. So yeah, like that was a really good experience because I definitely felt the pressure.
What do you think? You know what? When I did it, I think I had to pay people £5 to come.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was a new series. They'd never heard of it. They weren't sure, if they wanted to come.
Yeah.
And then I was going to social clubs. It was before social media.
Yeah.
And I was going to social clubs and say, listen, I'll pay you £5 for every person that comes. I have a budget, and I still only got about 30 of the needed 100,
Well, I didn't think that it would be so hard.
I know.
That might be really naive of me, but I just thought, oh, this would be a breeze. Now I'll put it on social media and like my inbox or whatever will be flooded with messages, and it wasn't. It was just, and the contact and them asking, can I bring so and so because they couldn't bring children? It was just one of those things where
I know.
Yes, so many things to overcome. And then I was told as well, like, we don't want beige people, like we don't want it to look boring. So I had to make sure, like, can you wear something like fun, like a rugby jersey, or to actually make it look like
your friend.
They wanted it basically.
Oh my God, I know. But you know what? At least you've done that job. It's on your list of talents that you can do.
Yeah, I found out I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, you don't want to do it again. You can veer away from it if it ever comes around again.
But it worked out, and I think that's the main thing. Like, no matter what you do, no matter how stressful it is, like when it pays off and it works out, like you are relieved in the end.
Definitely. It was like the 30 people that I managed to get in the end. They shouted, they roared, they were laughing. And if somebody sort of said, oh, it feels like you've got 60 people in there. So it works,
Exactly, that's it. Because I think the most nerve-wracking thing was standing up on the 4th floor in the BBC, and that's like the canteen, and people were starting to come in their dribs and drabs, and I was like, there'd be 2 people sitting in there, then 3, then 4, and I was like, oh please, because they took their time as well.
Oh my God.
They did it on purpose.
So after your telly episode, you then went on to work on radio, yeah?
Yeah, and I stayed with radio after that then until the end of the apprenticeship. And when I say radio, like it covers so many different things, because you've got radio, you've got online as well. That comes under it. You've got kind of, you go on the OB, so you can be what's it called? I can't think of the name. OB card. You go and you just kind of like look after the production in a way. There's so many different things that you can do. Writing a piece for online, social media, doing social posts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Obviously radio, then you've got producing, you've got researching, you've got even like putting packages and stuff together. There was so much freedom with it. I think that's what I enjoyed the most.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those who don't know, an OB is an outside broadcast. So you were going to live games, I'm presuming, yeah, and reporting from there. And...
Yeah, so I had loads of opportunity when I moved over to radio. So when I made the switch, I started working on Radio World Sport on a Friday night, and that was 3 hours of sport every Friday. So Dylan was the producer and Chris and Beth were the presenters. And I started off, they were doing like an in-depth series, so it was called like Radio Wales in Depth, and we would speak to one of the pundits or like someone who's no longer playing sport anymore. We'd arrange to meet them and we'd just do a podcast basically about their career, how they started, how it went, like what they're doing now and everything. So I was part of that.
Great.
Months. I would kind of ring and book the venues, I'd go along to the recording. I'd help with the editing and stuff, even setting up the equipment and monitoring it. Like that makes the difference as well, just in terms of learning how to use tech.
Yeah.
So I done that first off, and then I was in studio every Friday. So I'd go down, meet guests, bring them up, book them initially, and then I would clip off anything that might be worth a write-up online. So I'd listen to the interviews. If something would have been a good follow-up, then I'd clip that off. And send notes around so people could act on that. Then I'd bring the guests in the studio, just kind of like being in that environment, to be honest.
Yeah.
Being in kind of with everything going on around you. Yeah, I'd done that for a while, probably up until I finished. Yeah, it was up until I finished the apprenticeship, basically.
Right. So did you find would you say that you found your feet in when you went into radio, that you had there was a purpose?
Yeah, because I think TV it sounds like all well and great and stuff, because you think it's like very glamorous and everything, which it is to an extent, but you can't do a lot yourself.
No, you're right. I was going to say, because I did telly and then I went into radio and then back to telly.
Yeah.
And so, and they say that natural progression should be radio first, then telly.
Yeah.
But I went the other way around, and I realized how much, as you said, hands-on, how much you can just do on your own.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like when I was at TV, I was quite limited with the media management stuff. That would be that. I couldn't go on and edit from what I got. And same as like on the OBs, I couldn't really get involved in anything because I had a certain role. But with radio, if I wanted to arrange an interview, I could arrange it, do it, come back, edit it, put it together, and then have it played out on air. You literally saw that process from start to finish.
Fantastic. And that must
something else about it if you wanted to. Like it was just that it was endless the amount of things that you could do.
The confidence that must build inside you to think, oh my God, I've just done all that myself.
Yeah, and I think the proudest thing that I done was when it was for Friday night, and it was for the Doddy Weir bike ride. Basically, they were for the charity. They were cycling from the Principality up to Murrayfield for the to take the match ball up in the Six Nations when Wales were playing Scotland.
Yeah.
And Chris phoned me and he said, we're looking to do something on this. Would you be happy to go down? He's like, it's an early start. It was 5 a.m. It was at the Principality. But he said, would you be happy to go down with some kit, he said, and just speak to whoever was there. So there were loads of people there. It was Owen Tudor-Jones was there, Martin Johnson, loads of people. I can't even remember who I spoke to altogether now. But yeah, loads of people there. So I went down and it was dark. They were like on their bikes and having like their bacon and sausage rolls and stuff, having their breakfast. And I was just going up to them like, oh, can we have a quick chat? But it was more like light-hearted. So it was kind of like, are you looking forward to it? Are you dreading it? You've had your breakfast, like who do you think's gonna win? Just that kind of thing, like score predictions and that. And I came back, I put it all into Dira, I listened through it all, clipped up the answers that I wanted from everyone. I think I spoke to about 4 or 5 different people.
Wow.
I put that together in a package then. So it was like bouncing back and forth all of them. It was about 10 minutes odd it was all together. And they played it out. So that was one of the first things I had properly done.
Yeah.
So that was like an achievement within itself. But then it was the feedback after it. It was everyone being like, oh, that was really good, like really nice listen. They mentioned it then when we had like a review of the season and everything that we had done, like that was pointed out. And it was just like because I had done it all myself. I didn't need the help of anyone else to do it.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, that was something that I was proud of.
You know, when you do written pieces or social media writing pieces,
Yeah.
Do you ever get I know I would get conscious of making sure that my language was right and I've spelt things properly and stuff like that. I mean, does anyone have to sort of double check on stuff that goes out on?
Yeah, so not so much on social media. If you're on a
Right.
social media shift, you're not writing enough for it to necessarily have to be checked.
I see. Okay.
So you'll just do like, usually you'll post, if there's a story gone up online or someone's retired, anything like that, you'll just post like the top lines or like just kind of reword that like in a way that's suitable for social. So you're not doing too much of that for someone to have to double check it.
Right.
But with online writing, there's always like a second pair of eyes on that. So you'll write something, then you'll send it round, someone will check over it, and then it'll be uploaded. I'm not the best of writers because I think that's not a bad thing, because sport writing is different to writing for anything else. I think with sport, if I'm reading a match report, if I'm reading something to do with transfers, anything, I want it to be straightforward. And I think that's what it is. The writing for sport is just straight to the point. So you don't need to worry too much about the language that you're using and everything. Obviously, so long as it's suitable and that kind of thing. But you don't need to be really like flouncy with it.
No, I get you.
So I like the writing side of it.
Yes.
And there are some really good writers in work, but mine's just very basic.
I'm just thinking as well, you are right. It's a different style of writing for sport, isn't it? And people just want to know the facts. You don't need to be flowery and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's just straight to the point, like just say what you see basically and what it means. It's just that kind of thing. So I think even if you're not the best of writers, sport writing is slightly different. It's still something that you can do.
Yeah. What about things like, for example, DERA training? How much training did you get?
I was shown, so that was mainly through shadowing people, to be honest.
Right.
Like I'd ask, how are you doing this? And in DERA, you can mess about with it a little bit, so you can edit stuff, and obviously that's not going anywhere. Like it's not being played out, you're not deleting or going over anything. So you can mess about with it yourself and get to grips with it that way.
Yeah.
The hardest thing with DERA, I think, sometimes is if you've recorded things outside, if you're taking bits out, just getting the levels right, the background noise.
Right, yeah.
Can be a bit fiddly sometimes. Or if like the audio recorded wasn't that loud or is too loud and is changing the levels throughout. I think that's the most difficult thing. But as part of the apprenticeship, we went to Evesham, we went to Wood Norton.
Oh, yes.
For a week, and we had radio and podcast training there. So that helped because we basically made a radio package ourselves.
That must have been a great experience.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We went up there, and that was probably the first time before I had done the radio stuff. Just as I swapped over to radio, I went to Wood Norton, so it came at a really good time. But we went up, and obviously we had the training and stuff, and then we were able to do the practical side of it, which was we had a brief. There were actors there, or staff there, pretending to be certain people. So I think I had they were getting rid of this park and building like a housing estate there, and there were people who wanted to protect the birds. So I'd have to go up to them and ask them questions, come up with my own questions, record it, put that into DERA, put it all together. I could include music. I could do what I want. There was loads of freedom and like creativity with it.
Yeah.
But that was really good practice. And then we'd listen to them and critique them, which wasn't my favourite part. Because I mean, I was really new to it. So.
Oh my God.
And the trainer couldn't hide his facial expression sometimes like that, so you know exactly what he was thinking.
Oh my God.
But yeah, like it was a straight week up there basically, and that made a massive difference. That helped.
Yeah, because it's a great skill to have, you know. For those who are listening and don't know what DERA is what do we call it? The radio software, editing software.
Yeah, it's just audio editing software basically.
Yeah, because I learned on Radio Man, which apparently isn't much different to DERA.
No, and I hear people talking about that, but that was gone by the time that I had started.
Yeah, I'm talking, this is donkeys years ago.
Yeah, that's not that anymore.
Yes, it's a while ago. I can't even remember what year it was. It's a while back.
But people still call it that, so.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, it's like I know with the BBC as well. I don't know whether you had this, but when I worked at the BBC, I have worked in Central Square, but I mainly worked at BH Broadcasting House in Llandudno.
Yeah.
And I still notice people reverting back. Oh, when we were in BH.
Oh, all the time. And I have no idea because I only went there for an interview. I didn't work there. So I
Oh,
can't really relate to that. So they got to explain the whole story then. But
yeah. I mean, it had a huge car park, and it was in Llandudno, which is a lovely area of Cardiff. But the car park by the end was full. You could never get anywhere to park.
yeah, I think parking is still an issue with this building.
Yeah.
Because we've got a car park about 10 minutes down the road, but that's not a long-term thing, apparently. So that's going to be going. But the difference is you've got the train station right outside.
Exactly, and to Llandudno, there was like one bus every half an hour, which was not
It was
great.
out of the way, wasn't it? It was when I went there for the interview, I thought I haven't got any idea where this is. So I caught a taxi there and I realised like kind of how far out it was.
I know, but it's funny how people we all do it to an extreme. We all talk about what's been in the past,
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think it's good. There's so many people in the BBC that have been there for years and years and years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and it's so mad because when they talk about things, they're like, oh, I came in on work experience or I came in on like a short-term contract or something, and they've just stayed ever since.
Wow.
So it's crazy. That's half the department, basically.
Oh my God. So talking about contracts, so you were finishing your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Were you given any indications that there was work for you after the apprenticeship?
So I came quite lucky. There was a media management job that came up, and me and Nathan both went for it. So we were head to head on that one, and Nathan got it. And it came down to the end, like he had more experience on the TV side than I did.
Right.
So it made sense. Like all of my examples, all of my experience more or less had been with radio.
Yeah.
So he had that role. But afterwards, Ella, who was my manager at the time, said they were really impressed with the interview. They don't necessarily want to lose me after the apprenticeship. So she said, we can offer you 5 shifts a week up until Christmas. Like it wasn't written down or nothing like that. It wasn't set in stone. But where they can, they'd like to offer me shifts every week up until that point.
Right.
So I was really lucky with that. But again, that was only a couple of months after the apprenticeship finished. Like I had nothing long term. So Christmas came and then the rota started coming out and it was like 1 or 2 shifts. And I thought, oh no, I knew, but I just didn't I was so busy at the time. And over Christmas, you just don't think of applying elsewhere as such.
No.
So the rotas are coming out. I wasn't getting many shifts. But then all of a sudden it just picked up. They were like, the rota would come out. I'd have 2 days and then I get a text being like, oh, actually, can you do Wednesday and Thursday this week as well? So it just picked up like that. And then every week it was more or less back to 5 shifts a week then, up until May.
Yeah.
This year then when the season finished. And obviously I expected summer to be quiet because that's the thing with sport. Like when you're working during the season, you're really busy. And then when that finishes, then it's everyone goes basically. Like it's just dead quiet there.
Yeah.
But then I thought, oh, come September now, or come middle of August, it'll start back up again, which I've been having shifts. It's been busy. But I think there's just so many changes in the department at the moment that it's not going to be how it was for me last year.
Okay. I mean, in a way, you'd had a year and a half in sport. You sort of know how the year pans out.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. So at least you know. So basically, you're working now as a freelancer.
Yes, I've been freelance since last July.
And with the sport department, you know when the quieter times are or what commissions they've got, I presume, because everyone talks, don't they, in the department?
Yeah, you know roughly like the busier times and stuff, so you can kind of like plan for that then.
So realistically, this has kept you going for the last year, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've not needed to do anything else. I've not needed to apply anywhere. I've not needed to do something on the side. It's been a case of I've been able to just stay with BBC. I've picked up shifts elsewhere. So I've picked up shifts with news as well. So that's been part of my working week as well.
Brilliant.
But they kind of interlink. Like you'll find on sport shifts, there's one shift which is the org shift, and you basically plan all of the morning radio hits and all of the information. But on those shifts, you have to go to news meetings.
Right.
You get familiar with everyone. Basically, you're sorting out the sports hits for Radio Wales Breakfast. So you get familiar with them all, get to know them. And so when it came to the point then of asking for if they had any work going, they already knew me in a way.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, I've been picking up shifts with them, shifts with sport, and that's been enough for me at the minute.
Yeah, because I heard you on the radio a couple of weeks ago.
You did, yeah. I had a couple of people say that. So I've been helping out with Call Rob. Vicky Blight was doing it for years, and she's left. I think Rob said she wants her Saturdays back, which I don't blame her.
Right.
But at the minute, I'm happy to work Saturdays. So they said, would I be happy to read out texts and tweets on Call Rob?
Yeah.
Like going to a game, getting some boxes, which is like just speaking to fans basically and playing that out on the radio. Just be there throughout the day basically and just like help out with bits like that. And yeah, my first one was Newport 2 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. And then so you got in touch and said, I thought it was you. I heard.
I mean, honestly, it sounded like you've been doing it for years. You just seem so relaxed, you know?
Yeah, I think being kind of like Rob has been great. Like there's a couple of them in the department, like Chris, Rob, Rodri, Dylan. They've all been really good and just helping me just get where I am now, like with confidence and learning things. And they show me things, they have advice, like, and feedback as well. That's a massive thing. Like, yeah, that is not given to you openly in the department. Like you have to go and ask for it, but you've got people there who will be honest with you, and I think that's all you want. And that's what I said as well. Like, don't tell me it's good if it's not. Like, I'd rather know. Don't be polite. It's fine. I can take it.
Yeah, throw it out and I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that developed you then, like confidence wise as well. And like I say, I get on so well with Rob that relationship kind of helps with programs like that as well, because you're just comfortable. He makes you feel at ease.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, so no, I've been enjoying that. So I got another one. I did another one last week, and I got another one this Saturday now. So
fab. What's good as well, you're freelance. You obviously, to me, you obviously understand the nature of freelance.
Yeah.
But there might be Saturday work, but you take a day off in the week, you know? Or
yeah, exactly. And I said to you in the past, like I quite like, as much as I'd love a contract, I like being freelance as well, because you got that freedom. My week to week like kind of work doesn't look the same necessarily. So what I do day to day is different, which keeps it just doesn't get repetitive. There's a variety of things that I do. And then also if I decide in a couple of weeks time, like I want to go on holiday, I want to do something, I want to go somewhere, I can just do that. I don't need to ask somebody necessarily. I just let them know I'm not available, and I can do what I want then. So I do quite like having that freedom with it.
Definitely, yeah, because I we talked about it before. I was freelance for a long time, and yeah, you're your own boss, you know. That is nice.
It's good. Like you've got to be a bit disciplined. Like I said as well, like with saving, I didn't do that at the start. Like you're so used to it, if you've worked in the past as well, being just having that monthly income because you're on a contract, and because nothing changed for me basically from working during the apprenticeship to swapping to freelance. I kind of like expected that, and then come summer, I was like, oh no, I didn't have as much as I thought. So
I know,
but I mean, it's all a learning curve. So.
Yeah. How do you get on with? I'm presuming you have to invoice the BBC. Am I right?
No, it's pay as you earn, so they do it for me.
Oh, lovely. That's good.
I'm very lucky like that, because I think that side of it, I would probably need some help, or like an accountant or something then to sort it. But luckily enough, they're pay as you earn, and it's a fixed rate as well that they give you. So
that's nice. So in a way, am I right in thinking then you didn't have to negotiate your daily rate with them?
No, they just have a fixed rate. So
you know where you are then, don't you?
Yeah, and it saves any uncomfortable conversations as well to an extent, especially when you're starting out, because I mean it's difficult to know. Like I think as you get more familiar with it and more confident, then those conversations are easier to have. But until then, you just feel quite new to it all.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't want to be the one that's undercutting a company, you know, that everybody else is on a 150 quid rate and you want 180, and that's why you're not,
because that would be ridiculous. And then you don't want to like sell yourself short either. And
no,
just be paid like significantly less than everyone else for the same work.
Exactly. I think when I went freelance, I went to the BBC and they gave me a rate, and I sort of, Lisa had a ballpoint figure to work with.
Yeah, exactly. It just, because I had no idea, and that's why I asked. I was like, what is the fixed rate? Because I had no clue what to expect.
No, that is the thing. I mean, there are there are companies where you can look for rates and stuff, but sometimes, I mean, yeah, sometimes companies don't adhere to those anyway. So you just want to know that you're charging the right amount, really. So to offer you a daily rate is a good one, because you've got that to work with now, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of, I know a standard thing for them, because I know that they might pay less than other companies as well. So it's a good ballpark to kind of like know where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and you haven't got to worry about your tax and NI at all as well. So
thank God.
yeah, because it can, it can get to a point of being a nightmare when you just haven't got time to do your own tax return because you're busy working.
Well, yeah, that's it, because you take all the shifts, and they are like sometimes unsociable as well. Like if you're working a late shift or then early morning, like they're all over the place, and you've got traveling as well to factor in. So yeah, it can be a bit consuming sometimes if you've got other stuff to do like that as well.
Definitely.
You feel like doing.
Oh, the last thing you want to do after a late shift, isn't it?
Exactly, that's it. I can't think of anything worse.
So future Jess, are you going to carry on as you are, or is there any other areas that you think you'd like to dive into? Or
I'm quite open. So I like sport and I like football. I think that's my main thing. That's what I'd like to stay in, and kind of progress in. I love doing the call Rob stuff. I love going out and reporting. I think that's in the future somewhere I'd like to be, and something I'd like to be doing more often. But I'm also, I love music as well, and that's why I applied for Radio Wales at the start.
I see.
Kind of like festivals, and I love Radio 6, and because Nath was lucky enough to go up there and get some experience with them as well. So yeah, I wouldn't rule out music to like radio in that way. But yeah, I'm just kind of open. I never expected to be where I am now.
No, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm just going with the flow at the minute. Like I never expected to have the opportunity for Call Rob. So things happen, and it's just, as long as you say yes to everything and just take every opportunity, I think it leads to different things. And even that was the point of the apprenticeship. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yes.
People are like, what do you want to do? I'd be like, I want to work in radio. Yeah, but what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I didn't know what you could do.
Well, that's the thing. That's the biggest thing. You don't know the jobs that are entailed or involved in the industry, you know?
No, exactly. That's it. And this has been like a massive eye-opener, and finding out what I like and what I don't like as well. Like knowing what I don't want to do. So yeah, I think just take absolutely every opportunity and then see what leads from there, basically.
Definitely. Well, listen, I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
And so with my other half that had Call Rob on.
Yeah,
he's a sport addict, but I'll listen to whatever, and if he's got football on, I'll watch it. And honestly, I was sat here, I go, oh my God. And I'm glad he had it on so I could hear you, because I, as I said, you sounded so natural. It sounded great, and I look forward to hear you on many more programs.
I think that's the thing as well, and especially for like you guys in Phil Cymru, from when we first come in to like where we actually get as well. Like I would never have thought that at the start coming in. So it's just for you to hear and see things that people are getting up to as well, because you play a massive part in that. Like it's quite nice for you guys.
Oh yeah, we love it, and if it's credit on a TV show or a voice on the radio or an online piece, whatever, it's just you're like proud mothers. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But I think that's important to mention as well, the fact that you spend most of your time in the BBC and you're in that little bubble, but you guys are kind of like those people that you can speak to who are outside of that as well, and you offer like different opinions. You're doing what's best for us and what's in our best interests as well, because like, don't get me wrong, you got people to speak to and stuff in there, but it is like a company, it's work. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to speak to outside of that.
Yeah, it's nice to have a different,
always offered that support.
Yeah, it's nice to have a different perspective as well, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. And just kind of something that isn't BBC or ITV or wherever you're working. It's just nice to have an idea of what's out there and listen to you guys, because you've been there and done it all, basically.
Yeah, I think what Sue thought of, I need people that have worked in the industry to work at Skill Cymru, and I think it does help because we can
100%.
relate to what you're going through.
Yeah, exactly. Like any issues, worries, any concerns that you have, like even in terms of chatting with you about being freelance, like what it's like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that makes a massive difference. And anyone who's doing the apprenticeship, just like use that as much as possible, basically.
Yeah, I'm glad you could be help because it's nice to know. It's nice to have that feedback. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I loved those 2 weeks that we'd come to Skills because it'd be a proper little catch up with everyone. You get chatting. I think that makes a massive difference.
Do you know what? I was in the BBC yesterday in Central Square assessing, and they're all coming in next week and the week after because they were such a big cohort. We had to split them, and they all can't wait to come into Skills so they can catch up with each other. And
yeah, it's the only time really that you get to see each other. Like, don't get me wrong, you still do work, like you're there to kind of like catch up on all of that stuff, but it's nice to see you guys. It's nice to have a chat, and it's just nice to get out of that bubble sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, I'm going to love you and leave you now, Jess. Let you get on with your day off. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you for asking me to do it.
Okay, no, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed listening to you.
Same. Thank you, Lisa.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.